Warning, it's
Before we plunge into the mayhem with Nasty Nova, Love Bambina, Chelsea J, Sassy Bree, and Lucien Locks on the Ghetto Games podcast. Disclaimer, we are not licensed therapists, we are not medical doctors, we are not legal advisors. The thoughts, views, and opinions we're throwing out here are purely for your entertainment. This podcast is all about keeping it real and amusing. We engage in discussions and games with fantastic guests, covering everything from social and political issues to spirituality and beyond. However, let's be clear, it's all for the sake of entertainment. Some info might be true, some might be, well, a bit of creative storytelling. And just so we're on the same page, don't even consider attempting any of this at home. We might be trained in the art of wild entertainment, but looking out for your best interest? No, not our thing, or our own for that matter.
You are now tuned into the Ghetto Games Podcast.
Welcome to the Ghetto Games Podcast.
We're going to have a continuous conversation of what we were talking about.
Sure,
Yeah,
we
yeah,
can.
we might as well do that one.
Y'all left off on the game, man.
No, we had a behind the scenes moment. You were upstairs, Chelsea, and Bam had said that
I didn't know, or I don't want to take away from your feelings, Chelsea, because how you feel is how you feel. But I guess I was trying to identify what subliminal shots you felt like I've taken towards you.
So I think during the wrap up, one of the subliminals for me could have been when you were saying that I was giving headline news with no, like, just headline. To me, that's where all of our topics usually stem from, a headline that we've seen from off of. So that felt like a shot. I would say shade.
Okay.
More so than subliminal.
Okay.
Because that's direct. You were telling me what it would, but it was
Yeah,
when I
and that's
asked,
what I
can
was
you
about
give
to say.
examples? That's when you were saying, giving examples. So it was like giving headlines. And then you mentioned the Instagram. That was shade, because I feel like I'm not the only one that's on Instagram or searching, not even just Instagram, because my phone is on mute. While we pod, but it's more so we all are looking at social media, especially if we don't come to the pod with topics. So we're searching social media to see what's popping or what's active at that moment or throughout the day.
Is that what you were doing? Is that what you're saying? Is that what you were doing? Because I wasn't aware of that. I'm
not sure, but I
Instagram.
know the times that I know that I do it has been usually when I haven't had any type of topics or something, or any of us do it.
Yeah.
Usually is that time. But even if we're just bored in conversation, I've seen all of us look at our social media at some point during the pod. Not just particularly me.
Okay.
And then another shade for me would have been when you were saying that not coming prepared. I felt like I was prepared.
Okay. And I feel like that's something objective. Everybody has different levels. I appreciate you sharing. I'm glad you clarified that you felt like it was shade and not subliminal.
Yeah,
because I was very direct, I felt.
I would say it's subliminal prior to me asking what in detail what were you referencing to, because other than that, it was just a general statement that was being said. So when I asked exactly what you were referring to, that's when you went into detail as to what you were referring to.
And that's fair. I think my perception is always trying to be respectful. So I think I was blanket in the statements until you specified and I answered. I still feel the way that I feel. I apologize, though, if I've made you feel, if I've disrespected you, or if you felt any way. I'm okay to take accountability.
I don't feel disrespected. I wouldn't say that to that point, but I do feel like it was like shade.
I mean,
like, I felt like
that
you
way.
were coming like for me,
But
on the pod. But some of the things that you were referencing was applied to everyone on the pod and not just me. So that's
not
where that
my
came
experience. So I understand what you're saying, but I don't recall seeing I know Bree has come again, objective to me, not prepared, or, and so I appreciate what you're saying. And it's clear to get it out in the air. I appreciate that. But I do think there's just one of those things where we may have to agree to disagree, just because it's just how I feel and that's how you feel. And I'm okay with it as long as we know that it's no disrespect.
As far as what?
That's what I was about to ask.
What you mean?
What are you disagreeing about?
I don't agree that Chelsea would come prepared. I don't agree that I would come with headlines. I would create my own storylines within headlines. So if I was to get a headline or if I was to get a story, I would then summarize that story myself. I didn't feel like that's what you were doing. I felt like you would just read the story.
So remember when you said that I wasn't coming prepared and reading just headlines? Remember when I said, are you saying that because I'm not delivering it in a way that you would deliver it?
I do recall that.
Right. So that's why I was saying, are you saying that because you deliver your headlines in a different way because you taking time to reform what you saw? At that point, it's a difference in delivery. It's the same thing, but you deliver it in a different way. So in that case, it would be because it wasn't delivered in a way.
But I guess because I see other media outlets do that, I think that is like a pretty common practice on podcasts. So I didn't feel like it was specifically because I'm doing it that way. I think it's more engaging to hear it that way. So it's not that I want you to do it like I'm doing it. I just want to be engaged. I want to hear it from your perspective, to hear it from each perspective. If I felt, Sheena said I sounded angry during the wrap up, but I was probably just passionate, but not angry.
No, you piped up.
You sound triggered. During the wrap up, you sound triggered. And I guess in that moment, I was more where my mind was in the moment of the conversation. I really I tuned out because I was like, well, why are we bringing this back up? Because I thought we had this conversation already. But I listened to it a few times afterwards. And I'm like, no, Ben was being a little shady. And she sounded a bit triggered.
I think those are pain points that I've felt multiple times, not just with you. I've even expressed this with Bree. And I think because you asked the question, it was directly answered to you. Now, I may have sounded triggered. I would have to go back and listen to the videos to decipher that. When I left, I didn't feel that way. And after the recording, I didn't feel that way. And I feel like if I was triggered or if I was angry, I would have felt emotion afterwards, and I didn't.
Well, I feel like a trigger sounded like when you made the statement, because I can get off of this pod and get my own shit and pop off. At that point, you sounded triggered.
I think I was just stating how I feel. Not triggered at all. Like, I always want to make sure that I'm aligned with whatever I'm doing and that I feel good about it. That has nothing to do, and this is no disrespect, but that has nothing to do with anyone on this couch. It's absolutely something individualistic for me. And I think over the last year, I've come into my power. And so it may come off very passionate and aggressive because I've been so meek and mild for so long. And that really doesn't have anything to do with you guys. That's more so just me standing in my power and knowing these are the things that I need to feel good about what I'm a part of. I wouldn't say triggered. I just felt like I was being really passionate because I do feel passionately about those things. And anything I'm a part of, even if I was a janitor, I would be passionate about that and how I handled that if I was a custodian. So I just think that, like I said, again, I will take accountability if it felt that way and apologize for that. What I expressed, I still stand 10 toes down in as far as the way I felt. Again, that's my objective. That's how I feel. So it can't be wrong or right. How you feel can't be wrong or right either. So
how come y'all can feel some type of way, but I can never feel no type of way because it'll always be wrong?
I mean, you can feel, anyone's entitled to feel however they feel. Like, no one can tell you that your feeling is wrong. What you can say, what you can do essentially is change your behaviors towards that person or how you behave for yourself. And that's what I was essentially standing in. Like, I am not going to be a part of something that's done halfway or not. To your point, Chelsea, I really appreciate what you said. You know, the delivery is not like mine. I was really if anything, frustrated because, like I said, in December, I would, take hours to prepare, write stories out, study like all week, different things. And obviously, I don't know what you guys did. You may have been doing the same thing. However, when I would come and something would fall through, whatever it was, whether it was my equipment, whether it was social media not being up to par, Sheena was coming down on me hard. And I felt like that. Now, I do feel like she had ended up doing that with both of you guys later, but I feel like it was something that, and this is well before you came on the podcast, right? Like, she had always been really hard on me. Bam, why is your shit not working? Bam, why is, and I'm like, I am doing my best, and I think that's all I was saying. Like, for me, it was like the effort, and it's this thing from Sheena where she got friends together, and we are not social influencers. A lot of us didn't know anything about anything, and we're just learning. But it was like, for me, I felt like she was like, you need to know this, you need to be doing this, and it just wasn't the same. So when you came on, if there was any animosity, it was because I really felt like she was babying you, and I never got that. So that's why I kept using the words, I feel like you kind of just got crossed up in it.
Can I interrupt? Bree, have you ever had computer issues?
Not computer issues.
Have you ever had issues?
As far as like,
do you remember when your laptop was not connecting to the remote recordings and we had to keep going back and forth between platforms? Mm-hmm. Did you not get the same treatment?
Yeah. But I think that.
Yeah, because Bree been trying to interrupt though. She been trying
it's okay, like, because this was really a moment for y'all.
But straight camera.
This has really been a moment for y'all. But I feel like, for me, and y'all can correct me if I'm wrong, but y'all had already had, like, y'all were already creating content. So, and I'm not saying you were already,
no,
doing the best, you know what I'm saying? But y'all were already out there doing it. So
y'all meaning
Sheena, Nova, and Bam, yeah, they both were already creating content. So when we created the podcast, it was like, one, I didn't really know what to expect. Two, didn't know what to do. Like, it was, and I don't think that we sat down and actually talked about what it looks like. And I also don't think that the expectations of whoever was the originator of this podcast was set either. So I feel like it's multiple things that could have been done, but I do agree with you, Bam. I'm not gonna take that from you as far as like the babying of Chelsea, because even though like you're right, Sheena, you did give it to me, and I think that's the point that she's trying to make. Initially, it didn't really seem like you was giving it to me. And it could have been because you knew that I didn't know social media like that, or knew how to create, or, just knew how to be in that space. But then once we kind of got a little bit further, I ain't gonna say we was, in the game deep, then it was kind of like Chelsea. And I think for me, it's more of just knowing how to talk to people. I don't think it don't even matter that you correct us. Cause I mean, it's cool. Like, we need that. But I think it's just more so the way that it was done. It was like, you need to do this, you need to, and I get it, that's you. You know what I'm saying? Like, I understand that, but it's just like, I don't know.
So from my understanding, Bree, you were bringing your friend. I don't know if it was your best friend or whatever, or who she is to you, but and I don't remember her name, but I know Veronica was supposed to be coming on as for Bam. So it seems as if or how the understanding that I have between the two of you, as if there was never no communication. So it feels as almost as if like I asked to be on the podcast and it's like a issue.
No. So
that's what it comes off at from the receiving end. That's what it seems as if like
I can see that.
Like I didn't ask, like Sheena had a conversation with me, Nova had a conversation with me, and asked if I wanted to, because I was already potty to the extreme of doing video content. No, but I have been a part of my own podcast.
Correct.
So it wasn't. We did talk about it. We talked about all of our friends coming on the pod. That was definitely a conversation that we had. We never said when that was going to start.
We never solidified anything. We never talked about what it looked like.
None of that.
It was literally it was literally like a soft conversation. So it was a bit, and again, that's why I am really extending a genuine apology to you, because like I said, I really feel like you just kind of got in the
you
mix.
don't have to apologize.
Well, I do because wait. I do because
but I understand where you coming from. So and I know your feelings are valid, so you don't have to apologize.
But
I'm not
apology
offended.
is more so for my behavior towards you. If there was real aggression towards you. That wasn't my intention. So I think I'm really apologizing for my behavior because that wasn't my intention.
Question. Did we not say that we were going to bring our friends on?
We did. The issue that I had, because remember, I had taken a step back. That was part of the reason why you came on so quickly, or at least that's what I was told.
Yes.
But none of that was said. We didn't have a conversation about it. She never said, oh, we're gonna go ahead and bring Chelsea on. Are y'all okay with it? It's been mostly, well, I ain't gonna say mostly, not now, but before there were a few times where things would just be done and wouldn't be no discussion about it. So that's why, I feel like you got the
short end of the stick.
Yeah,
no,
kind of, because
you
you came in thinking that, oh, we had a conversation, it was solidified and things was going to move forward, and that's not what we knew. Did we know that it was eventually going to happen? Yeah, but you clearly see my friend ain't on here yet, and I can't speak for yours, but it wasn't anything that was laid out yet. But that's the real tea,
though. That's the real tea.
But we didn't discuss
when we wanted that to happen. Veronica was supposed to be getting her equipment. Kiana was going to move and get her equipment. It never happened because my friend moved a little bit faster than yours. Okay, that's how I feel about it.
Well, I don't think it was that. I think it was, one, she already had a podcast, so she pretty much had stuff that she could go ahead and record. And then two, didn't. You went ahead and brought her in, so that was why
we already agreed that it was going to happen.
But we didn't agree.
When people in business do things, you don't have just one conversation and then something
we
occurs.
had like 2 or 3, and I was like, well, when are y'all people gonna come?
No,
and it was never.
That's not what.
It's always selective hearing when it's my idea.
It's not a selective hearing. It's you tell half the truth. That's what it is.
And you just go and with what you're gonna do. You just and it's probably not intentional. It truly probably is not. You probably have the best intention, but it is true that you don't communicate the best. And I think you're saying things in that
or maybe
in conversation.
Y'all are sensitive.
No, your communication is trash can.
And both of y'all are sensitive.
Okay.
I think it's pretty direct.
I mean, I ain't gonna take that from me, but
okay. Well, let me intervene. Interject. Should I say? Okay, so do y'all feel like if your friends had came on, then it would have been like moved as fast as I came on? Do y'all think it would have been a little different?
So there's been times where I would say we should do this, and Sheena or Nova would be like, "No, we need to do this first before we do that." Like it's not even a discussion. I think I had mentioned doing a segment or something. This was back when it was just me, you, and Bam. And you were like, no, we need to get this together and this together before we move on to anything else. But it was kind of like I said this and this is how it's going to be. I don't give a fuck about how y'all feel about this.
Was it the reality TV segment?
Maybe it was.
And I think I was really down for that because I actually agreed that you would be good at it. It was just never kept up.
Well, it was never able to roll out because you told me we wasn't ready for that. No, we needed to accomplish some other things before then.
You started one time and everybody dozed off.
I don't remember ever talking about.
You did a Housewives breakdown one time, and I was into it, but everybody else was looking like
I don't think I've ever done a Housewives. Do you remember that?
Because we talked about TV for a while. We had a TV segment.
Do you remember anything about Housewives?
No segment. No.
There was a whole block for reality house. It was one time.
I need to go back and listen to that because I don't remember ever talking about.
Can't find it without the notes.
And this is what I'm talking about. This is another thing
I've said
that
this
I'm
multiple
talking
times.
about.
We can't find mad stuff like that.
And it's cool, but it's just like everything with you. We getting ready to get off on a whole nother tangent, Chelsea.
Everything
from my it doesn't even matter. From my perspective of the pod, I'm glad you're here. I feel like even after that whole situation, because it wasn't nothing against you, it was more so her because I felt like I didn't know what was happening. You brought a different energy, and it was more of like an energy of now she won't get on my fucking nerves. So glad you're here to kind of bubble up the day. So like you were not the person to feel a type of way about if someone said something to you, you'll laugh it off. So we needed that on the pod. So that is my thought on that. I mean, if you felt the way, my apologies if anything came off that way, but it wasn't nothing towards you at all.
Yeah, I will piggyback off that to specifically answer your question. Would it have been different if our friends were on? I can't answer that specifically, but what I can say is I did go to my friend. I did talk to her about it. She was aware. So something you also don't know historically is Veronica, Bree, Sheena, and I initially discussed this podcast in Colorado. So Veronica
I did know. Sheena did
so when we started without including Veronica, she felt like, well, dang, y'all just kind of went and whatever. And I was like, well, we had the equipment. When you're ready, we're going to introduce this. And so I think again, it circles back to, we had a soft conversation about it. So I didn't even know to say, you need to have your equipment by this hard date. That's the kind of conversation I would have needed to take it serious. You feel what I'm saying? So for someone to say, oh, you people didn't get an equipment, was there a hard date? That's what I mean. These real business conversations that needed to happen. When is the expected time frame? Well, we got 3 months, 2 months, what is the date? So I think, to circle back, I don't know if it would have been better or worse. I certainly think if we would have had a better communication, a better understanding of what was happening, it would have been better. So if the logistics were in place, I think so, yes. But I think what's being missed is that Sheena is a creative. She is a rapid mind thinker. She's fantastic at what she does. I'm not going to ever discount her for that. But I think sometimes her creative mind is moving faster than the folks around her. So I appreciate also what you said, Brie, about like me being into content creating. At that level, That's a
run-on sentence. Let me get in, please. Now,
what? I was just about to answer her.
You went from one transition to another. Yeah, I watched you gear this bitch 3 times.
Well, let me just answer Bree's question. I'm gonna let you speak. I just want to answer Bree's question. Just speak to Bree's statement. At that point, when I got on the podcast, I also had no clue about how this thing worked. I had only done visual content, and visual editing is a totally different ballgame than audio. That audio stuff, I had no clue. And I think also Sheena has specifics and things that she likes to see. Like, she wants things to be a certain way because she's a producer. And I understand that now in a way that I didn't before. But before, I was just like, oh my God, I'm doing my best. I'm trying. But the preparation just wasn't there, because when Sheena's ready to do it, she's going to get it done. And that's what happened with the podcast. Even with the creation of it, it was like, I want to do this, so we're doing it. So, and it's like the next week, we're like, oh, we're up. I got this equipment, so we're going to use this equipment. And, you guys get this. And it's always like the pop-up type thing. And so, and we get in line, as best we can. But, sorry. Thank you.
For one, we all agreed on a date that we were going to start. Veronica was dragging her feet. So we started.
Okay.
Is that not what happened?
That's not my experience, but if that's what I don't recall a hard date.
Well, I do remember.
We had to buy the shit. We had to get the equipment. We had to buy shit.
What do you mean? Oh, you're talking about
initially
Colorado.
When we sat down in that basement in Raleigh, we had to get shit.
I just said that it
wasn't no pop up. Oh, pull up, girl, pull your mics out.
No. I mean, but it was like, okay, we're gonna do this, and you initiated it. You're like, this is.
We didn't even know there was a remote aspect. Veronica had never even came to North Carolina, so we didn't know there was a remote aspect that she could even be involved for real.
I mean, that's not a big deal. I was just expressing, she wasn't feeling she's good, but I was just expressing to Chelsea that there are a lot of layers to this podcast that she don't even have nothing to do with.
No, I'm peeling the layers. I'm peeling some shit back.
I mean,
you said
fine.
That it was a rush pop-up date.
What I'm saying is,
was there a rush pop-up date?
I don't remember there being a hard date for starting the podcast.
When did we get our equipment? Because you had to order the shit.
Sheena, what equipment? We had, the only thing I ordered at that time was a mic, because you told me to. You had lights. We were doing YouTube. You had a camera.
I had
lights too. But what I'm saying is, for our YouTube. So what you're saying, I'm not knocking you for it. It shows initiative. But what I'm saying is, I always
as far as adding guests.
Well, in general.
No, we're not even on the guest yet.
Yeah, we're not even on the guest.
We're still on the Bear 3.
We're on the Bear, I'm just saying, the way Sheena does things, when she thinks of an idea, she wants to drive it into gear. And that's not a negative thing. However, everybody might not be at the same speed. But what I will say I've always tried to do to my best ability is show up when she needs me. Like, show up with what she's asking me to do. Not to say I'm actually prepared for it. Not to say I actually know what I'm doing. But I'm showing up because I'm like, okay, bro, I'm here. You know what I'm saying? I am not saying that you're doing anything wrong. It could be me. I could be the problem. I could not be a fit. I may not align with the things that you need and the things that you see. And I think it's important because, to me, our friendship is like more important than anything else. And so when I left Ghetto Games before, I was just like, yo, this is getting way out of control. I'm not knocking you for the way that you work. I'm just saying I don't necessarily work that way the best. Or whatever the case is. And this is not all the time. This is not, I'm not coming at you. I'm just expressing why there's so much confusion, why there's so much static at times. It's just because people are just not in the loop. They don't understand. We're not, professionals in that regard, and whatever that thing is. And so it's like, I'm trying to learn and get this and understand this. And I think one of the reasons I took unfortunately, like I said, Chelsea got caught up in it, because one of the reasons I took that hard stance is because I'm like, my nigga, you always come at me for like me not doing the right thing, but you don't never say nothing about. That's how I felt. Whether it was right for me to be that way, no, it wasn't. Now that I look back, that was very immature. But I was in a space where I was pussy, and I couldn't just say how I felt because I was trying to please. I was trying to people please. And so again, that's not your fault. You didn't make me that way. That's my own trauma that made me that way. And I take accountability for that, which is why I stand up in what I'm saying now. I think that's the biggest disconnect between me and all y'all. Mm-hmm. I'm not people pleasing. Right. And I love that. No, you don't. No, I do. I love that, because that's where I'm at now. No, you don't love that, because when I correct you on some shit, it's, you don't know how to talk to me.
But I don't even think it's about the correcting. It's about the not teaching from the beginning. So then you go back to correct, and then it comes off very aggressive. Because like I don't feel like I people please.
Just give me an example.
With what we're looking for with the pod, when we initially, like she said, when we initially started the pod, we should have sat down. And I'm not saying you knew to do this. You are a leader by heart. Like, that's your thing. You're a leader. And with doing that, sometimes you have to teach people how things are supposed to be, and it don't always come off. Like, even when you giving an example, just like with this game we just played, we didn't have all the directions. We never have all the directions.
That was the directions I had.
Okay, so maybe not using that example.
Make that game up.
But it was something else that we did to where we didn't have all the directions, and so you're getting, in the midst of you getting frustrated, you're now explaining what it is that you want. Had you explained it from the beginning, we would have been clear about what you wanted. So if you do, get attitude at that point, okay, it's now our fault because you set the expectation or you set the tone. If that makes, I feel like that has lacked before. I feel like it's coming up now, but it's hard to chastise somebody about something that you ain't taught them to do. And on top of that, and I'm okay with the aggression, because I can be aggressive too. But remember too, like, we're not kids, like we're adults, so I try to, and it ain't even about people pleasing. I just try to be careful, like, be mindful of how I talk to people.
I do the first time. The second time it might come off real nasty, and I'm not going to apologize for it. It's been multiple times where I have to repeat myself, and I have to remove myself. Sometimes I just don't even answer because I know it's going to be nasty. And it's not that I'm being funny. It's just that I know I said something, and then people are like, no, you didn't say anything. And I have proof that I said something. And it's still like, oh, I must have missed that. That's not my ball to drop. So if I'm nasty about it, I said it 17 times. Like, there's been miscommunications. Like, for one, like, it could be a miscommunication on the phone. For example, Lucian's not here, but we had that meeting. And I needed him to, we had the meeting. I needed him to convey some information to Bam. Bam never received the information. When I talked to him, he told me he didn't receive that information. But I had 5 other people on the fucking call to say that information was received. But he said it wasn't. So that's what's going to stand. It is what it is. Kiss my fucking ass. And that's not how I operate. That's why most of the time before we even talk about anything, I'll text it. So we could go back and reference where the ball was dropped. Because when the ball gets dropped, guess what? We just need to figure it out and pick it up and say, you know what, my bad. Let's move forward. Same way, if y'all ever want to call me out, that's fine. I will take accountability. Never had a problem with it, and I move forward. I try to lead by example by doing that, so y'all understand. Because there's been times where somebody hit me up on the side. I said, nah, call it out in the chat, because niggas think that I'm perfect. Just say it in the chat, so niggas don't be like, well, she don't never do nothing wrong. I make fuck ups all the time. Never feel no type of way about it. I don't give a fuck if what I do you don't know how to do, but if you know something looks wrong, say it. Because when I see it, guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to say it. And if I see it again, I'm going to say it. And it's probably going to be a little bit sharper, nastier.
Yeah.
And it's not personal. It's just like, come on, we're better than this. That's it. So I apologize if y'all feel like Chelsea was, the podcast was shoved down unprofessionally, or Chelsea came on and we all didn't agree. But I am going to say one thing. Chelsea was invited on the podcast. We did say, yes, I'm cool with that. Everybody said, I'm cool.
Because it was never an issue with Chelsea coming.
It was just when.
It wasn't even necessarily when. It was the lack of communication.
Right. That's
what
literally
Ma'am,
what
you're sitting right here saying, right, bitch, when I called you and said, do you feel like it's cool for Chelsea to come on
while Bree is
gone?
Yes, I said that.
Yes,
correct.
She
I'm
was
glad
gonna be
you
on
said
that
it.
bitch anyway. So yes, please come on, let's get you in the loop.
So was it one or the other? Because that you did say that exact words. Are you okay with Chelsea coming as Bree is taking a step back? I said sure. That's what I thought it was.
Is that a miscommunication?
Yes, because she continued to be on afterwards.
Yeah,
So-
but when
Wait, pause. She was going to be on that bitch anyway. So if she came while the break was happening, do you mind if she comes on while Bree's gone? We never said that she was going to leave because she was going to come on the hoe anyway.
You got it, Sheena.
Got
it,
tell
baby.
me if that's correct.
No, it's not, but it's okay.
Break it down
It's
for me.
okay,
Break
baby.
it down so
I'm
I
good
can
off
understand
of it. I'm good off of
I
it.
just want to understand it.
I am literally telling you, yes, I thought this was, all of our friends were supposed to come on.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, I would expect another conversation about that transition before, but I was under the impression that Chelsea was coming on in the interim while Bree was gone, and there would be another time when we would discuss our friends coming on. But it could just be a
when y'all all agreed that y'all friends was coming on already. Chelsea just came a little bit faster.
That's the way you look at it, and that's cool. I'm just telling you that's what I thought. So I'm
There's
not
nothing
really
wrong with that, but I
we're
want you to
kinda
think about how that sounds.
But
To you.
So what about me not knowing that Chelsea was coming on?
You were on a break. You had told us where but
So-
you knew she was coming regardless.
But the point is, I didn't know she was coming then. I didn't know she was coming to be a placement for me.
She wasn't a placement for you. She was coming in for her own spot.
But that's not what you told Bam.
right. That's
Do
what
you
I'm
mind?
saying.
No. Do you mind if Chelsea comes on while Bree is gone?
Period.
What do you
Yes.
say? No. Okay, question.
said
Period.
yes.
While she's gone, period.
Or
Yes.
question mark. I should
All
say.
right.
I said yes. That's fine.
2 months later, do y'all care if Chelsea come on?
She's
No,
here,
it's fine.
bro. We're not gonna say that about because it.
Tell the fucking truth then. The fuck?
You
I
didn't
the fuck
ask-
if she was sitting right there.
You didn't ask
Tell
me
the
that
fuck-
2 months later. You didn't
not
ask me
even
when I
about-
came back
Before,
on
I
the
said
pod.
before. Do y'all care if Chelsea, do we bring our friends? Yeah, that's cool.
I'm good.
Do you mind if Chelsea starts while Bree's gone?
But again, Bree didn't know anything about it, and it
Bree,
don't
you
matter
were
that I was
gone.
on.
You
So what?
were-
I would have still told you or let you know, like, hey, just so you know, Chelsea's on the pod or Kiana's on the pod or whatever the case may be. I would have still let you know we're still a team, we're still a pod. So to me, when I came on the pod that first episode back, I was like,
Chelsea was on 4 episodes. You ain't hear not one episode that you a part of?
it's not about me hearing. Clearly, I knew she was on. That's not the point. You're missing the point all the time. What I'm saying is, when I came back on the pod, I felt the way because I felt like you were low key trying to replace me with Chelsea. And again, Sheena, it's because of the lack of communication. You always want to throw that out there and you don't communicate. Because you could have said to Bam in that point, when you asked her, do she mind if she come on there while I'm gone? You could have said, and this will be good because she's supposed to come on there anyway.
Right,
So now
that
we
never
can see
happened.
what happens
It
as far as
definitely
Chelsea's
did.
being there. No,
It
I don't believe
didn't.
that shit happened.
Bam,
didn't.
bam. We live together.
What? No, we didn't live together when Chelsea came on.
No, that's right.
back
That's
in-
when
I was
Bree
in
had
New
test.
York.
That's when Bree had test. You're right. You're right. When we
and
had a whole
again
remote setup.
had nothing to do with her specifically coming on. I just didn't know that. Yes, I had a different perception of what it was. That's just the end of the line. And I think, I mean,
Well, my thing is, and we're going to dead it right here.
Mm-hmm.
When we agreed that our friends was going to come on, Bree had to take a break. Well, I forgot what the break was for, but it was a break. She needed a break.
School, I
School.
think.
She needed a break. Cool. We had already talked about the friends coming on. You had told me that Veronica was getting her shit, correct?
I mean,
She had started. She had
Yeah.
supposed
And she
to
did
Ben.
get it,
She had
but-
was supposed to be Ben got the stuff.
No,
yes.
Sheena communicated that with me.
I
Prior to me
understand.
coming on, she said that that Veronica was getting her stuff. I don't know about
'Cause
Kiana,
she told me that she was.
but I do know that she was very specific on what Veronica was doing. She was like, Veronica's getting her
there
equipment.
wasn't a hard date, so I think it's very difficult to tell somebody to be ready for something when you don't say, I expect for you to have this by this date. If you don't, we're going to move forward. That's what I would have expected. At the end of the day, that's what happens in my business conversations. No company that is profitable is going to implement something without saying, this is our plan for it. and this is when we're going to implement and
the
try this.
The problem about the whole dissertations that we always have, I feel like it's a waste of my time.
I feel like
every
it's a
time
waste
I
of my
long
time
talk
as well.
and lay stuff down, it's just a waste of my time because none of it ever gets done.
When we had the episode, I don't know if it was Bam or Bree, when y'all asked me if I was going to stay for good. Was that, I believe it was Bree.
It probably was.
It could have
Bree.
been, yeah. I'm about to say it could have been.
At what point was that? That was when you had came back?
It probably had to be when I first came back. One of the first couple of episodes with me being back. That would have been the only time it would have made sense for me to ask. I just want us to be done. Well, I felt like this was a conversation that y'all needed to have. But I want us to be done with this whole, because we, like, at the end of the day, we're not going to agree on how things should have been handled, and it ain't doing it but making, you know, and this ain't you, I'm talking about, you know, this ain't doing it but making it, to me, worse and making me more annoyed. So I feel like we need to wrap that up and make sure y'all are good and on the same page as far as how
And
y'all
put a bow
felt.
on it.
Yeah, and be,
I'm definitely good. I feel fine. I'm glad we talked
Well, that's
about
why I asked on the last meeting, was there any issues? Because it wasn't, I did feel that it was some shade, and I didn't know how you actually felt. Anybody.
Right, right.
Because from my perspective, it looks a little different.
Sure.
From what I'm hearing.
I can see that.
So that's why I asked, was there any animosity that anybody wanted to discuss, or?
And I didn't feel
that's
that way.
where that
which
came
is why
from.
I didn't. And I honestly, I've never felt that way. I think if anything, there was, like I said, just frustration on my part. And like I said, I'll take the accountability for not speaking up more. Like, I should have said then, Sheena, we need to have a detailed conversation about this. But I was trying to be palatable. So I was like, oh, okay, let's go with it. So that's my bad. That's where even though I was uncomfortable, even though I didn't feel good about it, you know, and that's not just specifically about you. I'm just saying in general, looking back on my personality and the way I handled things for a long time in my life. So that's just more a call out on my part. So I'm quite sure that there's just, like Sheena said, even from her perspective, there's quite a few things that she is just like, well, why did this happen? Or why didn't this happen? And in reality, I should have questioned it then, like, bitch, you're not expressing yourself well, you know, or whatever the case is. But I'm very much at peace now in my life.
I'm gonna have to go look and find the messages. Because I could have sworn we started a group with Chelsea, me and you. For it, so we wouldn't bother Bree. But anywho, do y'all have anything else that y'all want to get off y'all chest today, tomorrow? Actually, there is no tomorrow, so forget it off your chest now, or forever hold your peace. I do want to say one thing. I didn't know how to do I started the podcast with y'all. I never sat down and had a podcast before. Never did an episode. So never. The only thing that I did was YouTube videos, and those were random vlogs where usually I wasn't sitting down talking. I mean, I did a couple lives, a lot of lives actually, to get to the point where I'm at now, but never sat down, had a full 3-hour photo shoot, sit down, talk. So for y'all to say, well, y'all had the experience, really wasn't that much experience.
I wasn't saying it in the sense of knowing how to maneuver through a podcast. It was more so just even being on the camera. Like that's really what I was talking about when I said y'all had already started doing the content creating piece. Okay. You see how when I initially came on, some of the struggles that I had to go, you know, that I did because I never did it before. So I didn't know, you know, what to do or what to look for.
So I wanted to say that. And as far as anything editing goes, the first episode we ever did was the first episode I've ever edited, audio and visual. So for however long we've been recording podcasts is, we'll say, my editing training at that point.
Gotcha.
So I don't want to think, you knew how to do this. Only thing I knew, I edited shit off my phone. The same time we started the podcast is the same time I got my iMac.
Gotcha. Yeah, but Sheena, this stuff comes second nature.
It doesn't though. I taught myself.
No matter you taught yourself, but it comes right. Well, I get that, but it comes different to you than it comes to me. You figure it out. So when I say second nature, I mean like you grasp it, you understand it differently. You don't have to have somebody to actually train you to do this this editing thing. You actually understand this by yourself, and that says a lot.
Well, it was self-taught. I
That-
mean, I sat there, watch videos, same way that y'all could do. Watch videos, piecing stuff together. That's it.
But you already
but
were
you
text,
say, but yeah, you're okay. So tech savvy is probably the word to use. Yes, we are on the internet and we can do videos, but uploading a reel and editing a reel is totally different than editing a video that you might send. And for us to learn a certain software, you understand that it comes different to you than what it comes to us.
So that just means that you will need to study longer if you wanted to learn.
Or you could have showed us, which is what I know I've had.
Well, she has created videos, but in her terminology, which she thinks her videos is probably self-explanatory or easy to, it still might not be easy
and that's another
for
thing.
us.
Some people use different software. So Bree, I couldn't show you how to use Final Cut Pro if you don't have a MacBook. So it wouldn't work out. There would be no need for me to do a whole video on Final Cut Pro if you don't have the basic necessities or things. Now there's an app called InShot. I explained to Bam and them they can use it. They said we don't know how to fucking use it. I'm seeing reels of her doing shit all day.
InShot. I use InShot.
I know you do now.
But it wasn't about me not knowing how to use it. I didn't know that you needed that zoom function. Like, for instance, specific things like that. But in reality, I also think there's another issue with me. And that issue is just my capacity. Like, I just don't have a lot of capacity for the podcast. And so when I do put the effort in, it's like taking a lot out of me. And I don't know if you feel like that on your end.
Yes, I do. I always do.
Yeah. So, I mean, I do the best I can, but it is very taxing.
It's very taxing. It's very frustrating to have to go through something and I voice my opinion during it and I'm getting pushback and attitudes when I know I have to sit there for 3 days to look at it and can't fix it. So when I'm nasty for a reason because I'm not trying to waste my time.
Have you ever considered doing the podcast by yourself?
I could.
I think it might be beneficial because, or whomever, but I think it would, because you see a vision, you see what, and then you could have guests on or do something because it might just be easier and it may blow up sooner because you are the skilled person. You are the person that you feel like is driving the majority.
You feel like you're not skilled enough?
I just feel like I don't have the capacity. Like the social media that I used to do prior to this transition is like nothing compared to what I'm trying to do now. And maybe once I get additional equipment, like I plan to buy a MacBook next month, it'll be different. But my livelihood and what I'm doing right now requires a lot from me. And, you know, I've found out a lot of things about myself recently. Like I have ADHD.
Yeah,
and
we know.
And it is something that has impacted me a long time. Fortunately, I'm medicated now, so I have a lot more control and a lot more focus. But me sitting and doing those intricate things, it's not my strong suit. And I can say that now.
What would be your strong suit if that was not?
I think communication, the podcast itself, this is like where I shine. And I think everybody has like shines, like speaking to people, communicating. I want the podcast to be successful. I don't ever want to be devaluing the product, right? I want it to be add value. But you know,
this is 10% of the product.
I know, and that's probably about what I got to give at this point.
Okay. You got anything else, Bree?
Well, I am because, but Bam just explained what she meant. She felt like at the time, okay, so when we had our meeting and you made the comment when we were talking about social media, I'm the only one that has this social media down pat. It makes sense now that you said that because you thought that it was less than what you actually have to do at this point. So you're realizing now that that's not what it actually is, requiring more of you.
Right. Yes. Yeah. And that's what I mean about, like, we had a conversation, I think last week, and that was probably the most detailed conversation that I've had personally to say, this is what is needed to see on social media. This is what is needed. And y'all, sometimes it takes me 6-7 hours to make one video, and that's not Sheena's experience, but that's me. And I'm like, that can't happen. I can't sit there. I don't have
For
that
6-7 hours.
Yeah, like the other morning when I put that post up, that little post about Rachel, I was up at 4 a.m. It took me from 4 a.m. to 6 a.m. just to get that done.
Who used to do the videos when we first started? When we used to have so it's because it was a different
Well, I did have my MacBook.
Oh, okay.
So it made it easier, but again, those formats are nothing like what Sheena wants now.
Okay.
No, I asked for that. It's audio and it's the pop-up of the GIFs and things like that. We said that we wanted filler content if you weren't going to do what was asked. That was it.
Well, we didn't have any visuals, so I used filler. I mean, we only had audio.
We had audio, and we said that we wanted to do visualizers, audiograms. We had to agree on that, and
Again,
then you turned around.
Yeah, I can't do it. I can't do it. I attempted. I can't. I know. Yeah.
Okay. Well, so other than the microphone, what other things would you want to do? Because that's not it.
I mean, I don't know.
Well, I think that's a question for you, Sheena. What do you think that we all individually what are our strengths individually on
Bam
as we
was good at
pertain to the
making
pod?
videos. Bam was great at making the videos.
Okay.
So I'm trying to figure out what else you would want to do.
But now she has a partner too. So do you think with your partner,
He's not ready to do it by himself.
I think
Not
maybe
him
once I
by
get my
himself.
computer, things could change. But on my phone, it takes entirely too much
you're
time.
doing it on your phone.
I'm literally slacking in my production at work trying to keep up with this stuff, and I can't have that because that is how I pay my bills.
And vice versa.
So
Right, me too.
So what I'm saying is that's why I'm making this statement. But maybe once I get a computer, it would be easier. And because I only have my work computer, my Mac obviously crashed, and then my other personal HP crashed. But again, also the tech savviness comes in there, because had I been tech savvy enough when I purchased my computer, I would have purchased the right kind of equipment, like storage, understanding RAM. I don't necessarily know that I understand that still, like RAM versus storage and what I need to purchase so my computer doesn't constantly say I'm out of it, so that is again tech savvy, because there's been several conversations we've had about that, and you're like, yeah, you just need to do this, and you just need to, but I think ultimately that could be, because when I was doing them, I had my MacBook, and it was much, much easier to be on a larger screen and have the mouse pad. My little fat fingers, I'd be struggling on my phone.
Just last week it was scheduling and discipline.
Well,
now it's I just can't do it.
I mean, I think because I actually have taken time this week to try, and I haven't been successful. So I am being honest with myself that with the tools I have now, I can't. It's not even that I can't. I'm not being successful. I'm willing to continue to try, but the reality is, yeah, exactly. And I'm just trying to be honest, so you can
to do it, do it or not.
Right. I just want to. I mean.
So, where you want to go on the editing team?
I need to put some thought into it.
Because just the microphone ain't gonna cut it.
Everybody
to put some
got
their own little things here.
Editing.
Because what's going to happen is I'm going to take it over, and I'm not going to need assistance from Sam. So you and him will have to figure out something else. Because that's kind of not fair to Bree or Chelsea if they have a different job and they have to do their job, and all y'all do is come sit on the microphone.
I mean, they would be getting paid for that job though eventually, right? Where we would only get the % share of the mic.
I don't know. Ask them.
Wouldn't that be accurate? That's the job. Like if I'm saying I don't want to be a part of the social media team, but I will stay on the mic, I'm okay giving up that profit share portion. They're going to get paid for that portion. I mean, and I'm not saying I'm not.
No, I'm going to tell you right now, because if you leave it out, you don't hold no weight on the podcast. Like what else do you do? That's like I told Sam. Sam just wanted to repost pictures and shit on Twitter. What else would y'all be doing?
I mean, I think that
because at this point I'm about to put the whole podcast on my back.
Listen, I'm not.
So maybe this is something we need to talk about in a meeting that we should be having once a month, as far as what those things look like if people decide they don't want to be a part of certain things, instead of doing it right here, because we ain't gonna come to no decision right this moment. And I think everybody.
What does it look like? Cause that look crazy as hell to me. I can get the fuck up, but y'all can run this bitch and let me just edit. Cause that's kind of what I asked for anyway. Remember?
Yeah, but you're saying you don't even want to be. It's like an ultimatum. Mm-hmm. So it's like
not an ultimatum. It's like,
but it's either if it doesn't go. This is my understanding.
Go ahead.
You initially, when it was all of us together, you said you didn't want to be a part of any of all of the episodes. Correct. You wanted to see us lead the podcast.
Yes.
And you take the behind the scenes.
Yes.
But I don't know how much you really mean of that, because editing is not what you really enjoy doing.
I'd rather do that than do both. But it's kind of like, if I step away, do you have enough integrity to treat it as if it's your baby?
I don't know if the integrity is the right word, but I also feel like if you step away, now you can get into teaching mode and get us to where we need to be able to do
I'm not a good teacher because I don't know how to talk.
I don't know, because it's been like that last time when Sheena wasn't on the couch and she was intervening the conversation. She knows how stuff should go and how she wants it to go. So if it's not going in the direction that she wants it to go, then it's not 100% for her, right?
It's not 100%, but it has to be energy involved in it.
Mm-hmm. Right. It's not what you are expecting. What you see, it could possibly be.
What I see for lackluster, you wouldn't see.
Right.
So do you feel comfortable enough to put it on your back? Segment out shows, get the details so you can do them?
I think we need to put a pin in this conversation. And
I think so too, because this is what I mean. Like, I feel like these situations need more, and we're together. So face-to-face meetings are the best. So, but I do feel like these conversations need and deserve more attention, focused attention.
And not reactions.
I think Sheena is a big part of this podcast. So I don't see her stepping herself out of and taking the behind the scenes. I know that's what you want to do. I would
love it.
But you are a big part of your personality is a big part of the podcast. So to take that away, it's not. I don't know that it would be the same.
Well, I don't think it's fair for me to have to carry all of that weight. If I'm carrying social media,
well, no, I don't think that it's fair for you to carry all the way. But if everyone's agreed for you to take the majority of the portion of the funds because you are carrying that weight, what is?
It's not even about.
And aren't we talking about doing classes on certain things? Maybe other people can jump in and do stuff.
I'm not involved in the classes.
What you mean you're not involved in them?
I'm not involved in them classes. Those are personal development with you and Black.
Okay, that's not the point. Is what I'm saying is we're supposed to learn those things, so maybe other people can jump in and do other things like social media or something like that. Nobody said you had to carry all of that on your back. So you don't think that could happen?
Right now, no. Not even with the best person. Bam. Right now, no. If she doesn't have the capacity, you don't have it. Definitely.
Well, I wasn't saying. I was just throwing that out there as a thing.
No shade. No shade.
No.
What takes Bam 4 to 5 hours is literally chopped down from 18, 19 hours of work.
So, and my understanding of all of this editing and why I can agree to what Sheena, the amount of stuff, like how I understand her frustration and why she comes off is because I've tried. I've gotten the Mac. When she offered to when we purchased the Mac, I downloaded, the software, tried to edit. The shit is a lot.
It is. Yeah, I know that.
It's a lot. That piece is a lot. It doesn't come second nature to me. It doesn't come easy to me.
So we'll put a pin in it. We'll wait till Lucian gets home from LA and see where this blossoms. This was a great conversation. Do y'all have anything else for the hoodlums?
Ghetto.
I think we gave them enough. Yeah. I know they tired of hearing the same shit.
I know.
Peace.
Bye
now. All right,
now.
cut this shit.
Ghetto.